Okay, we're going to be looking at overproduction in the case of negative externalities, and this is from chapter 13 in my microeconomics textbook, and I'm Richard Friberg. Okay, so we're going to be looking at a market. Okay, so we're going to be doing that graphically, and have here price and quantity of some good that we're looking at. Okay, so there's going to be demand, say 100 minus QD, quantity demanded, inverse demand curve like this, and there's going to be a supply, and supply is coming from private profit maximizing. Okay, so it's a competitive supply, and let's draw these two, the supply and demand curve. So there's demand 100 minus quantity, and here is supply. Okay, so 100 there, 10 demand and supply here, which comes from the private marginal cost. Okay, so these are the marginal costs that firms in this industry have. So they're all price takers. They're determining how much to produce from looking at their marginal cost curve, just as previously in the course. Okay, so as a starting point, we want to see if this market were functioning in this way, where demand is met by private profit maximizing firms that each act as a price taker, how much is produced and what is the price. So as usual, we're looking at the price where demand equals supply. So we can see that we're equilibrium quantity is going to be solving this equality, or reshuffling 2Q equals 90, Q star equals 45, dividing by 2. And to get the equilibrium price, we just plug the equilibrium quantity into either the demand or the supply. Let's do it into the demand. And 100 minus 45 equals 55. Okay. So that's we can think of that as a benchmark. So what we have now is that that's where we were, and that's not where we're going. So we're looking now at a market where there's some external costs. There are some costs associated with producing this good that are not affecting the producers directly, but are affecting third parties. Okay, so think of this, for instance, as production of paper. Okay, so if there are no environmental regulations, there are likely to be negative effects of paper production on the environment, on people, on other firms. Okay, so it could be, you're polluting nearby rivers with toxic waste. You're polluting the air, and this is affecting then people in terms of sickness cost, in terms of lower quality of life. So you have asthma or so forth. Could be affecting other businesses, tourism, fisheries locally, and we could also try to quantify the negative effects on nature itself. Okay, so there are a number of costs that are affecting rest of society, and those costs depend on potentially on how much is produced. Okay, so we can graph those in the same figure. We're going to be looking at what we would call the marginal external costs. So how high are those? Let's do it like this. How high are those costs that are affecting the rest of society? So marginal external cost. Okay, so when little is produced, relatively low external costs, or very small concentrations of pollutants are not having a great effect. But the more that's emitted, the higher are the costs on the margin. Okay. So if we as a society want to take account of those, we would say, well, it's natural starting point will be to take account of both the private and the external costs. We want to say, how much would we produce if we're optimally taking account of all the costs that are associated with the production of this good. Okay. So we're adding the marginal external cost and the private cost. So down here, marginal external cost is close to zero. So we're starting at the same intercept here, but we're then adding more and more. So we're adding something like this. Okay. So what's that? That's then the marginal social cost, MSC. We want to find the optimal solution here. So let's first note that what's marginal social cost equal private plus a marginal external cost. So that's 10 plus QS plus Q, so 10 plus 2Q. So the social optimum will characterize what? Well, demand equals supply, but where supply is taking account of the total marginal costs that are accruing to society. So 100 minus Q equals 10 plus 2Q, okay, social cost. So again, solving for Q here, 3Q equals 90, Q star equals 90 over 3, so 30. Apologies if this is not perfectly to scale. And to get the optimal quantity associated with this, or the optimal price rather, you plug this quantity into demand, say. So 100 minus 30 equals 70. Okay, so production of this good is associated with negative externalities. It's number of costs that are affecting others that are not taking account of in the private profit maximizing solution. If we as a society optimally take account of that, we're producing less and at higher price. Okay. Okay, so in the private profit maximizing solution, too much is produced. The firms are not sufficiently taking account of the negative externalities that they're affecting the rest of society with. Okay, so say that we want to look a bit closer on the welfare effects of this, what's going on. We can discern several different effects, and we're going to be looking at that here. So let's clean up a bit. There's still the same marginal social cost that we had. We can also take away this. We've already drawn that. So let's instead work with some the different areas here. So I'm going to be looking at welfare effects. And in similar ways as we've done in the rest of the course, using consumer surplus and a version of producer surplus. So we can compare the social optimum, or the solution 70-30 here, with the private solution where the externalities are not taking account of. Okay. So if we're looking at starting with consumer surplus, so consumer surplus in the social optimum is equal to the area A here, this area bounded by the demand curve, and the price of 70. Okay, so that's just as usual when we're looking at consumer surplus. We're looking at consumer surplus in the private solution. The price is then lower. Consumers are consuming more. Okay, so call this area bounded here B, and this area C. So in the private solution, consumer surplus is given by ABC. So difference between the demand curve and the price that they're paying in this case. Okay, so think of the case of paper, that might be associated with negative externalities if it's produced. That's something that we want to take account of, but we also want to take account of that people like to produce or to consume paper, at least if we're following the logic of these kind of models. So lower price will be associated with a higher consumer surplus because people are consuming partly the same amounts at lower price, but also because they're expanding their consumption. Okay. So let's then turn to producer surplus, and here we can do this in different ways. We could look at the private producer surplus as well, and then look at the costs separately. But I find it more economical, more simpler in some sense, to look at what we call the societal producer surplus. Okay, so the difference between price and marginal social costs. Okay, so the regular producer surplus is just difference between price and marginal cost. Here, same thing, but we now let the marginal cost that we're looking at take account of all the marginal costs. Okay, so difference between price and the marginal cost, the marginal social cost curve. Okay, so in the social optimum, let's look at some different areas here. We have area D here, and we also have an area that we call E out here that we'll get to in a second. So in the social optimum, how much is produced? Well, we're producing this many units. What's the difference between that price, 70, and the marginal social cost curve? Well, it's areas B plus D. Okay, so B plus D. What's the difference in the private solution? Well, we're then looking at the difference between the price and the marginal social cost. Okay, so here we have areas that are coming in positively. Price is higher than marginal social cost with the area D. That is true up until this point. Okay, what's happening here? Well, now we're producing units that are costing society. How much then? Well, it's costing as given by the marginal social cost, whereas the price is here. So these areas are coming in negatively, and that's happening all the way up until this point where we're actually producing then under the private solution at 45. So price 55 here. What's the marginal social cost at this point? Well, it's given by this. So the areas C and E are coming in negatively, okay? Costs, marginal cost greater than the price. So in terms of societal producer surplus, these areas are coming in negatively, okay? We're producing too much. Welfare, then, sum of consumer surplus and societal producer surplus. So that's A plus B plus D. And in the private solution, just summing these. So there's A plus B. The C here cancels. So D is still there, but C cancels. And then minus E. Okay. So if we're looking at the difference between these, we have that several of these effects cancel out. Okay, so the social optimum has a lower quantity produced at higher prices. This hurts producer surplus. This hurts consumer surplus. On the other hand, parts of these effects are counterweighted by gains on the producer surplus. But what's not counterweighted is this term E here. See, where so comparing welfare in the social optimum with the welfare in the private solution, we see that they're same apart from this area E. Okay, so what's this? Well, this is a deadweight loss of the externality. Too much is produced. We're producing units here where the willingness to pay as given by the demand curve is given by the demand curve, whereas the cost to society is given by the marginal social cost. So here we're adding units to production that are costing more than what they give in terms of benefits. Too much is produced, and we can quantify that via a deadweight loss via deadweight loss.